It's what you do with your teeth, it's where you put your tongue. It's a shape of your lips, let's make it fun. Phonic All Stars. Put your tongue. Phonic All Stars. Phonic All Stars. Shape your lips. Let's shake our hips. Phonic All Stars.
It's more than ABC.
Phonic All Stars.
1, 2, 3.
Phonic All Stars. Let's go. Jump in the car.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Phonic All Star module. What we're going to be doing today is talking about the level 2 flashcards. Now, the level 2 flashcards, they do come in a pack, and they've got the ring that enables you to build them and carry them around. Now, with these flashcards, I keep them always on the ring. The level ones, I take off the ring and we mix up because we're doing flipping with those cards. But these ones, we need them to be in order because this is when we're going to be really using those stars that are at the base with the numbers on them. So it's easier when these cards are in order. Now the design of the level 2 flashcards was these were to go in with the child into school, sit on the desk and then to be used as a prompt. And they work best with their folder guide when they're doing their spelling. Oops, when they're doing their spelling. So what happens is the folder. What they do is, say for example, your child wrote the word ghost, and rather than marking it as incorrect, what you can do then is put a triangle over the letter G, because the letter G we know is spelt with the silent letter H. So that triangle indicates to the child to look further, rather than it being wrong. It's let's be quite positive about this, and it indicates the child to look further. So what they'll do is using their cards, they'll go to their folder guide and they'll realise that the G is the number 9. Okay, so they'll go through their cards until they find the number 9. And this one, here it is here, this is Billy Canto, just check it's the number 9, yes it's the number 9. And then from that card, the card will give them multiple variations of how to spell G. So we have G, double G, GH and GU. And then the child can then add in the one that looks right to them. Sometimes it's best that they write the examples down, like they might write GUOST and go, oh, nah, because what happens is that visual sketchpad memory that's been taking in those 100 different words, that's going to alarm them at that time and go, no, that's not right. That's not right. It has to be GHOST, because it will be the child will be able to look at the different spellings and then see which one is the best version of that spelling. So this is basically the practicality of how the practical use of how we're going to be using these cards. Now when you get the pack, you will need to cut out your cards and then fold them along the centre. Don't cut them along the centre, fold them along the centre, glue them together, and then you should be able to feed 6 of them onto an A4 laminating sheet to cut out to create your cards. Now there's various activities that you can use with the level 2 spelling activity tasks in the Phonic All Star series. Now, first of all, as I mentioned, that the cards are one of the best uses are for them to be sitting on the table and to be used on a daily basis for children to just add to their knowledge of the sounds per word that is in error. That's one way I use them in therapy continuously for children at that level. However, I've also built some activities that enable us to focus in on the specific sounds and those variations to actually learn to spell those words accurately. So I'm going to go through that with you with one of the spelling variation charts. So the one that we're going to do today is Elvis Egg. So Elvis Egg, and if we go to our folder guide Elvis Egg. He's our character. He was born a white owl, but unfortunately he didn't grow out of a shell, so he was too heavy to fly. And because he couldn't fly, unfortunately, he wasn't useful to his mother. He became a pest in the nest, and he turned to the dark side, and he decided he'd hang out with the vampire bats, and the story just goes on and on. Now you'll find on these cards that that's the story. Okay, so if you're wondering about some of the Phonic All Star stories, they're on the cards. And the kids really do like getting lost inside the story, so don't shortchange them on the story. They do love that. Now, with Elvis Egg, we can use the guide to just bring the child's attention to the fact that this is Elvis Egg and he's one of the short vowels and he's number 26. And then what we can do is bring their attention to the card that Elvis Egg has two ways of spelling his letter, spelling his sounds. One is E, which they've already learned on their level 1 cards, and the other is EA, such as in air, in bread. Now what you'll notice as well is this level 2 cards have got the yellow triangle. That's how you can tell them apart. If you see a red word, can you see how this has said at the bottom? The red ones are the one-offs. They're the words that are like, alert, alert, just spell me this way. Okay, so what I tend to say to the kids is when they're red, you've just got to learn them. They're the sight words. Okay, so really the kids only have to learn that Elvis Egg has two ways to spell his spelling variation, so that's starting to make it easier for them to guess. Okay, so what I do with these kids when they come in for activities with me is I start by helping them to read the text. Now some children will read it quite well, but some will struggle. The ones that struggle, I tell them, because some will back out of therapy at that point, and what I do is I do an agreement with them where I say, if it's got a colour in its word, you read that word and I will read the rest, and then I help them just to read the words that we're targeting. Okay. What this does is it just brings their attention to the words that we're going to be focusing on the other side of the card when we get to the spelling. Now what you can see with this spelling card, it's a bit of a game. See that Elvis Egg's finding his way through the forest floor, past the red berries, down to get to Sire Cedar or Sire Fire, because that's the story about him cutting down the tree, the Sire Cedar, to make the campfire Sire Fire. Now, what the children have to do is work out whether they're going to be writing E or EA in these words when there is only two options that they can write. And what this is doing is giving them a chance to integrate two of their skills. One is their sounding out skills, so D, E, because they know the middle is always E. D, E, def. But then what they're trying to do is they're also integrating their visual sketchpad memory skills as well. So children who do have problems with visual sketchpad memory, they're going to have more trouble in burning in the correct version. So they might get stuck at just spelling phonetically and won't know the difference between their words being correct or incorrect. So what you do is progressively work your way down the chart, and when I made this chart, I actually just felt it would be okay for kids to write on it in texture that we could rub out later. But what I found in therapy is that was useful, but I didn't find it was as useful as them writing it in a book. And the reason for that is because the body also remembers the motor code of the hand movement. Some kids, especially who have kinesthetic skills, they actually remember the pattern that they write, and that patterning is very important as a complex sequence so that they can actually get the speed of their writing up as well. So, like, I don't know if any of you have ever been in that situation when you go to write, say the word wood, and you're going, oh, W-L, no, that doesn't feel right. and then you write it a few different ways, and then you go, oh, that's it, that feels right. And that's a kinesthetic learner. So that's why I encourage the kids to actually write them on the page. Now, how you mark this is your sheet in your Phonic All Star folder. Oh, okay. Your sheet in your folder, which is on your last, no, it's not here. Your last page has all these characters outlined. It's in blue. And what I like to do is, when I mark their work, I go through and any of the words that are in error, I write the errors on the sheet, how long it took to do the sheet, and then what I do is those errors I put on their word worm. So then they're only focusing on the ones they don't know. Okay, I can just show you that sheet. Just quickly, from this folder, I know it's in here. Can you pause it? I'm back! Okay, the sheet looks like this. Alright, so you'll see that there's Elvis Egg, he was the first one here. And you write in the date, you write how long it took the child to do it, because that's really important. Some kids will knock this poster over in if they're lucky, 10 minutes, and others may really labour at this worksheet. Okay, and how many errors, and as I said, you put those errors onto your word worm so that they can focus on those and they can see them on the wall, so they're burning in their sketchpad visual memory of those words. Remember 100 times or 300 if you've got a learning problem. Okay, but what I've done is I've provided multiple opportunities to practice the poster. It's not a once-off poster. I actually made these posters to be a breakfast table mat, so whilst you're busy cooking, they can actually be doing their words. All right, and the reason for that is because I have a bit of a rule with doing these posters that the kids do the posters until they get 100% times 3, because that means all those words are cleared through for spelling. So if they haven't achieved all of them correct 3 times, then they must continue to do the poster. Once they've achieved 100% times 3, go on to a new poster. Cool? Excellent. I'll see you next video. Bye.
It's what you do, It's when you put your tongue. It's a shape of your lips. Let's make it fun.